The purpose of adding pigment to the paint is that it A. optimizes the viscosity of paint. B. makes paint film hard. C. gives color and filling up effect to the paint. D. none of the above. The correct answer is gives color and filling up effect to the paint. A laminated glass upon cracking. A. bursts into sharp-edged fragments. B. bursts into granular pieces. C. sandwiched layer traps the fragments. D. breaks into the form of crystals. The correct answer is sandwiched layer traps the fragments. In a 4-speed 4-stroke diesel engine, the intake valve A. opens at TDC and closes at BDC. B. opens at 20 before TDC and closes at 35 after BDC. C. opens at 10 after TDC and closes at 20 before BDC. D. none of the above. The correct answer is opens at 20 before TDC and closes at 35 after BDC. When the top of the wheel is tilted outward, then it is called A. positive camber. B. negative camber. C. positive caster. D. negative caster. The correct answer is positive camber. The purpose of transmission in an automobile is A. to vary the speed of automobile. B. to vary the torque at the wheels. C. to vary the power of automobile. D. none of these. The correct answer is to vary the torque at the wheels. A basic difference between the spark ignition engine and the diesel engine is that the A. diesel engine compresses air alone instead of an air-fuel mixture. B. air temperature ignites the fuel in the diesel engine. C. fuel is sprayed into the combustion chamber in the diesel engine as the piston nears TDC on the compression stroke. D. all of the above. The correct answer is all of the above. The camshaft in an engine is always mounted A. parallel to the crankshaft. B. perpendicular to the crankshaft. C. inclined to the crankshaft. D. none of these. The correct answer is parallel to the crankshaft. Caster is A. forward tilt of the kingpin. B. backward tilt of the kingpin. C. either A or B. D. none of these. The correct answer is either A or B. A front stabilizer bar is used to A. increase vehicle load carrying capacity. B. provide a softer ride. C. control suspension movement and body roll. D. all of the above. The correct answer is control suspension movement and body roll. The timing belt is attached to the camshaft pulley and A. timing belt drive pulley. B. distributor. C. radiator fan pulley. D. alternator pulley. The correct answer is timing belt drive pulley. When indicated power I, P, and frictional power F, P, are known, we can calculate A. brake power. B. compression ratio. C. specific air consumption. D. mean effective pressure. The correct answer is brake power. A battery can be charged by A. adding distilled water. B. adding sulfuric acid. C. applying voltage in the reverse direction to that of charging. D. applying a voltage in the same direction to that of charging. The correct answer is applying voltage in the reverse direction to that of charging. When the front wheels of a vehicle are locked during braking, then A. stopping distance becomes extremely long. B. front tires skid across the road surface and the vehicle spins around. C. rear tires skid across the road surface and the vehicle spins around. D. driver loses control over the steering and the vehicle continues moving in its current direction. The correct answer is driver loses control over the steering and the vehicle continues moving in its current direction. The order in which effort applied to the steering wheel is transferred to the front wheel is A. Steering wheel, steering gearbox, steering shaft, tie rod, steering knuckle, front wheels. B. Steering wheel, steering shaft, steering gearbox, tie rod, steering knuckle, front wheels. C. Steering wheel, steering shaft, steering gearbox, steering knuckle, tie rod, front wheels. D. Steering wheel, tie rod, steering gearbox, steering shaft, steering knuckle, front wheels. The correct answer is steering wheel, steering shaft, steering gearbox, tie rod, steering knuckle, front wheels. The best fuels for compression ignition engines are A. Straight chain paraffins, B. Aromatics, C. Branched chain paraffins, D. Naphthalenes. The correct answer is naphthalenes. An oil filter bypass valve opens when the A. Engine is cold, B. Engine overheats, C. Oil filter becomes clogged, D. Engine runs at high speed. The correct answer is oil filter becomes clogged. Damper is also known as A. Shock absorber, B. Torsion bar, C. Spring, D. Radius rod. The correct answer is shock absorber. The main characteristics of a maintenance-free MF battery is that A maintenance-free battery requires little maintenance during normal use and it is sufficient to add water instead of an electrolyte containing sulfuric acid. B. A maintenance-free battery has a relatively short shelf life when compared with standard batteries. C. Since it is sealed, the water in a maintenance-free battery is not lost through evaporation, thus accordingly it is not necessary to top up the cells with water. D. Recharging of a maintenance-free battery is neither required nor possible. The correct answer is since it is sealed, the water in a maintenance-free battery is not lost through evaporation, thus accordingly it is not necessary to top up the cells with water. The most accurate ignition system of a spark ignition engine is A. Magneto system, B. Battery system, C. Electronic control unit system, D. Magneto and electronic system. The correct answer is electronic control unit system. The main function of a resonator is that it A. regulates the intake air flow rate, B. reduces the intake air noise, C. enhances intake efficiency, D. regulates the intake air temperature. The correct answer is reduces the intake air noise. For the same maximum pressure and temperature, A. diesel cycle is more efficient than Otto cycle, B. Otto cycle is more efficient than diesel cycle, C. both Otto cycle and diesel cycle are equally efficient, D. none of the above. The correct answer is diesel cycle is more efficient than Otto cycle. The fuel pump of a programmed fuel injection PFI system operate for 2 seconds when the ignition is turned to the start position to A. enable the pump's fault diagnosis function to operate, B. warm up and lubricate the pump, C. supply a large amount of fuel and thereby create a choke effect, D. pressurize the fuel system before the engine is started. The correct answer is pressurize the fuel system before the engine is started. In which of the following conditions the idle core percentage should be measured with the vehicle? A. headlights and other electrical devices are switched off, B. headlights and other electrical devices are switched on, C. headlights and other lights are switched off, D. headlights are switched on. The correct answer is headlights and other electrical devices are switched off. The mechanical efficiency M of an IC engine is equal to where I, P, indicated power, B, brake power, and F, P, frictional power. AI, PB, BB, PI, CB, PF, DF, B. The correct answer is B. PI. The lower cylindrical portion of the piston which improves piston cooling performance is called A. Piston crown, B. Connecting rod, C. Piston pin boss, D. Piston skirt. The correct answer is piston skirt. The most effective method of controlling SI engine exhaust emission is by A. Recirculating exhaust, B. Using catalytic converter, C. Using some additives in the fuel, D. None of these. The correct answer is using catalytic converter. The power actually developed inside the engine cylinder is called as A. Indicated power, B. Brake power, C. Frictional power, D. None of these. The correct answer is indicated power. When cornering, the differential generates a difference in the speed of the left and right wheels. A. True, B. False, C. D. The correct answer is true. If clearance volume of IC engines is increased, the compression ratio will A. Increase, B. Decrease, C. Remain constant, D. Be doubled. The correct answer is decrease. The basic function of the suspension is to A. Absorb vibration and impact forces from the road surface, B. Ensure that the steering wheel can deliver a suitable amount of steering force, C. Ensure that wheel alignment is not disturbed during driving, D. Automatically correct the effects of oversteering. The correct answer is absorb vibration and impact forces from the road surface. Damper in an automobile is used to A. Absorb the energy, B. Dissipate the energy, C. Release the energy, D. Increase the energy. The correct answer is dissipate the energy. The combustion process in a diesel engine is A. Constant volume process, B. Constant pressure process, C. Constant temperature process, D. Adiabatic process. The correct answer is constant pressure process. The damper fluid leakage typically occur from A. Upper damper mounting, B. Bottom of damper, C. Clearance between inner and outer tubes of damper, D. Coil spring mounting. The correct answer is clearance between inner and outer tubes of damper. The compression ratio of a petrol engine is nearly A. 4:1, B. 8:1, C. 15:1, D. 20:1. The correct answer is 8:1. The rigid suspension is beneficial when A. It is desired to reduce the unsprung mass, B. It is desired to have more flexibility in design, C. It is desired to improve tire-to-ground contact characteristics, D. Large changes in load make it necessary to have a large suspension stroke. The correct answer is large changes in load make it necessary to have a large suspension stroke. The tire rotation is generally done at A. 1000 km, B. 4000 km, C. 6000 km, D. 10,000 km. The correct answer is 10,000 km. The function of a proportioning control valve PCV in a brake system is to A. Ensure that equal pressure is supplied to the front and rear brakes throughout every braking operation, B. Reduce the brake fluid pressure when the brakes approach their lockup point, C. Cause less brake fluid pressure to act on the front brakes than on the rear brakes when the fluid pressure exceeds a predetermined level, D. Cause less brake fluid pressure to act on the rear brakes than on the front brakes when the fluid pressure exceeds a predetermined level. The correct answer is cause less brake fluid pressure to act on the rear brakes than on the front brakes when the fluid pressure exceeds a predetermined level. An under-inflated tire will wear the tread most. A. Near the center, B. Near the edges, C. In the lateral direction, D. In the cross direction. The correct answer is near the edges. The auto ignition in a spark ignition engine means A. Automatic ignition of the charge at the end of compression. B. Ignition induced by the passage of a spark. C. Ignition of the charge before the passage of flame front. D. Ignition induced to supplement the process of normal combustion. The correct answer is ignition of the charge before the passage of flame front. Two general types of tires are A. Tube type and tubeless. B. Solid and tubeless. C. Air and pneumatic. D. Split rim and drop center. The correct answer is tube type and tubeless. The discharged lead acid battery has on its plates A. Lead peroxide PbO2. B. Spongy lead Pb. C. Lead sulfate PbSO4. D. Sulfuric acid H2SO4. The correct answer is lead sulfate PbSO4. During suction stroke, the inside pressure of cylinder is A. More than the atmospheric pressure. B. Less than the atmospheric pressure. C. Equal to the atmospheric pressure. D. None of these. The correct answer is less than the atmospheric pressure. The function of an oil control orifice is that it A. Returns cylinder head lubricating oil to the oil pan at high speed. B. Turns oil into fine mist for spray lubrication. C. Regulates the pressure of engine oil supplied by the oil pump for the lubrication of cylinder head mechanism and other purposes. D. Removes impurities from cylinder head lubricating oil. The correct answer is regulates the pressure of engine oil supplied by the oil pump for the lubrication of cylinder head mechanism and other purposes. The advantage of having a tandem master cylinder arrangement in automobiles is that it A. Enhances safety by serving two independent lines in a divided line brake circuit. B. Enhances safety by activating the brakes using vacuum pressure in the event of brake fluid loss. C. Supplies equal fluid pressure to each line of a divided line brake circuit, thereby preventing the brakes from dragging on one side. D. Boosts the brake fluid pressure to reduce the force required to depress the brake pedal. The correct answer is enhances safety by serving two independent lines in a divided line brake circuit. In petrol engines, during suction, stroke is drawn in the cylinder. A. Air and fuel. B. Only fuel. C. Only air. D. None of these. The correct answer is air and fuel. The included angle is the sum of the A. Camber and caster. B. Caster and SAI. C. Camber and SAI. D. Camber and toe-in. The correct answer is camber and SAI. Which of the following parameter can be adjusted by modifying the tie rod attachment length? A. Camber. B. Caster. C. Toe. D. Steering gear ratio. The correct answer is toe. The main feature of MacPherson strut suspension is that the vertical size of the suspension can be made more compact. B. Non-vertical external forces are supported by the suspension arms. C. The unsprung mass is lighter. D. The assembly is slightly more complicated in design. The correct answer is non-vertical external forces are supported by the suspension arms. The lubrication oil flow in an engine is in the order as A. Oil strainer, oil pump, relief valve, oil filter, cylinder block, cylinder head, oil pan. B. Oil pump, oil strainer, relief valve, oil filter, cylinder block, cylinder head, oil pan. C. Oil strainer, oil filter, relief valve, oil pump, cylinder block, cylinder head, oil pan. D. Oil strainer, oil pump, relief valve, oil filter, cylinder head, cylinder block, oil pan. The correct answer is oil strainer, oil pump, relief valve, oil filter, cylinder block, cylinder head, oil pan. A. Three-way catalytic converter. A. Recirculates exhaust gases. B. Burns fuel vapor or gases. C. Reduces N2H2O and CO2 emission levels. D. Removes CO2 and number 2 from the exhaust gases passing through it. The correct answer is removes CO2 and number 2 from the exhaust gases passing through it.